I work the night shift as a nurse at Greenfield Hospital. One night, my supervisor, Nurse Linda, told me to take care of a patient in room 201. When I walked in, I saw an old man named Mr. James lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. He didn't talk, didn't move much, and just blinked slowly. His file wasn't in the system yet, but I thought it was just a small mistake. All night, I kept checking on him. He never changed positions and barely reacted. I even tried talking to him, but he never answered. When my shift ended, I told the morning nurse, Sarah, about him. She looked at me with wide eyes. "There's no patient in room 201, she said. I thought she was joking, so I went back to check. The bed was empty. The sheets were neat and untouched. There were no records of Mr. James ever being there. Security checked the cameras. They saw me going in and out, but the bed was always empty. I still don't know who I saw that night, but I know one thing. I wasn't alone in that room. Guys, comment your names so I can use them in my upcoming stories. This old woman makes the smoothest soup in the cafeteria, but what it does to your mind is horrifying. My name is Hannah. I'm 19, and I study at a university in Manchester. Last March, the cafeteria introduced something new, special gray soup. It looked strange, thick and gray like wet cement. A sign said it was made with ancient herbs and was free for students. The woman who served it was new too, an old lady none of us had seen before. She never spoke, just stood behind the counter, ladling the soup without blinking. My best friend Lily tried it. She said it tasted like nothing, just warm. But later that night, she forgot how to get to her room. The next day, she forgot my name. Others started changing too. Students who ate the soup walked slower, stared more, and began disappearing. I never touched it. I didn't trust the soup or that woman. One night, I snuck into the kitchen. The old woman was standing there alone, facing the wall. The pot was still warm. Inside, something pale floated just beneath the surface. She turned around slowly and smiled at me. On the shelf behind her were dozens of ID cards. I saw Lily's. I saw mine, but I never gave mine away. The next morning, the soup was gone. So was the old woman. And no one remembered Lily at all, except me. Have you ever eaten something you immediately regretted? Drop your story in the comments. The creepiest one gets pinned. If you see her walking alone at night, don't stop. Don't speak. Just run. She is Rokurakubi. The story starts in a small village in South Korea. Among the villagers lived a woman named Mayumi. She was polite, kind, and lived alone in a small wooden house on the edge of the village. No one suspected her secret. But Mayumi was no ordinary woman. She was a Rokurakubi, cursed to have her neck stretch impossibly long at night. Every night, while the village slept, her neck would grow and her head would roam freely. She wandered through the dark streets. One night, a traveler named Haruto passed through the village and stayed in an inn near Mayumi's house. Haruto couldn't sleep and decided to take a walk under the moonlight. As he walked, he saw Mayumi. Her head floated in the air, her long neck writhing and curling like a serpent. Haruto didn't scream. He ran back to the inn and bolted the door, shaking as he waited for the sun to rise. The next morning, Haruto told the villagers what he saw. The villagers confronted Mayumi, demanding to know the truth. She tried to deny it, but the fear in their eyes told her they already knew. "Leave," one elder said firmly. "We won't harm you, but you cannot stay here." Mayumi packed her belongings and left the village that day, disappearing into the woods. This story is from South Korea. Comment your country, and I will make a scary story from your country. This is the true story of Tara Calico, a girl who disappeared without a trace. In 1988, 19-year-old Tara Calico, a college student, went for her usual bike ride on a quiet highway in New Mexico. She did this often, but on the morning of September 20th, she felt uneasy. Before leaving, she told her mother to come look for her if she wasn't back by noon. But Tara never returned. As time passed, her worried mother drove along Tara's route to find her. Instead of Tara, she found her Walkman and a cassette tape lying on the ground, as if they had been thrown from a moving car. It seemed like something bad had happened. Despite many searches, Tara was never found. The only clues were the items left by the road. Years later, a disturbing photo surfaced. It showed a young woman and a boy, both tied up and gagged. Some people believed the girl in the picture was Tara, but no one could prove it. To this day, Tara's disappearance remains a mystery. If you enjoy our stories, don't forget to follow us for more. These identical twin sisters were pure evil. In the small town of Bloomsville in 1952, there were twin sisters named Taylor and Dory. They looked like normal, sweet girls, but they had a terrible secret. One day, a new girl named Mary Jane moved into their neighborhood. She was friendly and quickly became popular. Everyone liked her, but the twins were jealous. One evening, Taylor and Dory invited Mary to a tea party in the woods. The next day, Mary was missing. Weeks passed, and people in town whispered about her disappearance, but no one knew what really happened. One night, the twins' mother, Anaconda, heard them whispering in their room. She pressed her ear to the door and listened. What she heard made her heart race. "We need another one." Mary wasn't enough. Terrified, she pushed the door open, but the room was empty. On the beds, she saw 2 dolls with faces that looked just like her daughters. A third doll, with Mary's face, stared at her. The twins were never seen again. Some say they still wander the woods, looking for their next guest. My friend Jason and I went camping deep in the woods. The first night was fine, but the second night, Jason left the tent to pee and never came back. Police looked for days, but found nothing. I went home feeling sick and scared. A week later, I got a text from Jason. "I'm okay. Come get me." No details, just that. I called. No answer. I texted back, asking where he was. He replied, "Still at the campsite. Hurry. Something felt wrong." He didn't sound like himself. Jason always joked. Used emojis. This was cold. I told the police, but they didn't go back. Said the search was over. I drove there alone. When I got to the campsite, it was quiet, dark. My phone buzzed. "I see you." Then another text. "Come closer." I turned with my flashlight. Saw a shape standing by a tree. Same jacket Jason wore, but the face wasn't his. It smiled, too wide, and whispered, "Thanks for coming back." I ran. I haven't told anyone else, but sometimes I still get texts from Jason. Only now, they just say, "Your turn. Tell me the name of this celebrity who is in this story in comments. If you saw this woman, never look into her eye. She is the woman in Red Kapow." Backstory. Decades ago, Li Mei was a beautiful young woman engaged to a wealthy businessman. She loved him deeply, but on the night before their wedding, she discovered a terrible truth. Her fiancé had been cheating on her with her best friend. Heartbroken and filled with rage, she put on her red kipao, a traditional Chinese dress, and went to Wukong Mansion, an old and mysterious building in Shanghai. That night, she stood at the top floor, whispered a curse, and jumped to her death. Since then, her ghost has been seen wandering near Wukong Mansion late at night. Some taxi drivers claim she enters their cars and asks to be taken to a place that does not exist. Before reaching the destination, she vanishes, leaving only a red stain on the seat. Locals believe if you see Li Mei, never look into her eyes. Those who do will see her again in mirrors, in shadows, and even in their dreams. My name is Lisa, and I work at a small cafe in the city. Every evening, after finishing my shift, I walk home alone. My house is outside the city, in a quiet area surrounded by open fields. There are no streetlights, and the road is always empty at night. I usually enjoy the peaceful walk, but one night, something changed. As I walked past an old building near my house, I heard strange noises. At first, I ignored them and kept walking, but the next night, the noises got louder. I felt scared, but I told myself it was just my imagination. On the third night, I saw something, a dark figure standing near the building. It didn't move, but I knew it was watching me. My heart pounded. I ran home and locked my door. When I looked outside, I saw it again, a tall, thin creature with glowing eyes. It looked human, but something was wrong. I had heard stories about skinwalkers, creatures that can change shape and trick people. Was it real, or was my mind playing tricks on me? I used to work the night shift at a small convenience store on the edge of town. It was usually quiet, sometimes even a little creepy, but I didn't mind it too much, until one night. Around 2 a.m., the store was completely silent. Then a man walked in. He was tall, wearing a hood, and had a strange smile, one that didn't feel friendly. I greeted him and asked if he needed help, but he just stared at me without saying a word. He walked around the store for a while, not picking anything up, just wandering. Eventually, he grabbed a bottle of water, paid for it, and left without a word. I felt relieved until I looked outside. He was standing across the street, staring at the store. My heart started pounding. I quickly locked the doors and tried to stay calm, but something felt very wrong. Then suddenly, he was gone. I thought he had left until I heard the back door rattle. Someone was trying to get in. My hands were shaking as I grabbed the phone and called the police. As soon as I did, the rattling stopped and everything went silent. When the police arrived, they didn't find him, but they did find footprints leading from the back door into the woods. I never went back to that job after that night. I will never forget the night I met the smiling man. I have this habit of walking late at night. Every night around 2 a.m., I put on my headphones and go for a walk. It's quiet, and it helps me clear my mind. But one night, something happened that I'll never forget. I was walking like usual when I saw a man standing under a streetlight up ahead. He was tall and skinny, wearing these old, baggy clothes. What really freaked me out was his face. He had this huge, creepy smile. It looked like he hadn't blinked in minutes. Then he started moving. He wasn't walking normally. He was dancing. His arms and legs moved all weird. It didn't even look real. I tried to stay calm and cross the street, hoping he wouldn't notice me. But when I glanced back, he was following me. At first, he wasn't moving fast, just kind of gliding along, still smiling. But when I started walking faster, so did he. My heart was pounding. I didn't want to run, but I was so scared. I just kept my head down and rushed toward my building. When I finally got inside, I locked the door and ran to the window. And there he was, standing across the street, still smiling, just staring at me. Guys, guess the character I used in this story. Hint, she is a famous Hollywood actress. It was a cold, rainy night, and I was walking home alone. The streets were empty, just me and the sound of raindrops hitting the pavement. The rain soaked my hair and clothes, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get home. That's when I saw him, a man in a black coat and hat, walking beside me. He was holding an umbrella, completely dry. "Need some company?" he asked, smiling. I shook my head and kept walking, but something felt wrong. His coat wasn't wet. His shoes weren't wet. It had been raining for hours, yet he looked untouched by the storm. I hurried ahead, turning the corner, but my heart stopped. He was already there, standing, waiting, smiling. I didn't see him pass me. How did he get there so fast? I took another street, then another. No matter where I went, he was always ahead of me, watching, his umbrella never catching a single raindrop. I ran home, locked the door, and peeked outside. He was still there, standing across the street. The next morning, I saw the news. A woman went missing on that same road last night, and all they found was a black umbrella. Guys, if you enjoy my stories, drop a comment below. After my family died in a car accident last year, I needed to escape everything. I moved into their old cabin on the edge of the Appalachian forest. The cabin belonged to my grandparents, and being out here felt like the only place I could breathe. No traffic, no city noise, just wind and trees. Every morning, I go for a walk along the same forest trail. It became part of my healing routine. But last week, something changed. I was halfway down the trail when I saw them, a group of people, maybe 5 or 6, standing off the path between the trees. They weren't hikers. Their clothes looked torn and handmade, like something from another century. One crouched low and stared at me. Another had a sack tied around his head. None of them spoke. They just watched. I forced myself to keep walking. My heart was racing, but I didn't want them to see fear. That night, I heard twigs snapping around my cabin, something brushing the back door, breathing, low and steady. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I found a dead squirrel nailed to a tree near my window, and footprints in the mud, bare, human, leading up to my porch and back into the woods. I haven't gone walking since. I don't think they were lost. I think they were waiting. Guys, let me know if you want the second part. If you ever see this nun in a church, pray it's not too late. In 1781, in a village called Raven Hollow, a kind nun named Sister Maria lived in a church. Everyone admired her kindness, but rumors spread that she had fallen in love with a priest, which was forbidden. The punishment was cruel. The church leaders accused her of breaking her vows. Without a fair trial, they sealed her alive beneath the church altar. Years later, strange things began happening. During evening prayers, people heard soft cries. At first, they thought it was the wind, but the sounds grew louder. The cries turned into screams, followed by scratching noises. One night, a priest stayed alone after midnight with only a candle. As he prayed, the screams returned. They started softly but became unbearable. The ground shook, his candle blew out, and darkness surrounded him. Then he saw her, Sister Maria. Her hollow eyes burned with anger, her face twisted in torment. She whispered, "Why didn't you help me?" Terrified, he ran from the church and never returned. I was walking home after my night shift. It was just after 1 a.m. and a light rain had started. The streets were empty and quiet. As I walked, I noticed a black van behind me. At first, I didn't think anything of it, but then it kept turning wherever I turned. I crossed the street, and the van did too. That's when I started to feel scared. I walked faster, then began to run. The van sped up and stopped in front of me. 2 people jumped out. I tried to scream, but one of them grabbed me. Everything went black. When I woke up, I was lying in a field. It was cold, wet, and dark. I had no idea where I was. There were no houses, no lights, no sounds, just empty land. I sat up slowly, still feeling dizzy. That's when I saw it. The same black van was parked in the distance. Its headlights were off, but the engine was running, and it was pointed right at me. I couldn't move. I just stared at it, wondering if they were still inside. I didn't know what they wanted or why they left me here, but I knew I had to get up and run before they came back. Guys, if you want the second part of this story, then like the video and comment for second part. This is the Clark family, and what happened to them was truly horrifying. On July 16th, 1985, the Clark family disappeared from their home in Detroit, Michigan. There were no signs of a break-in, and their car was still parked outside. 3 days later, something strange caught the attention of the neighbors. A strange structure appeared in the Clarks' backyard overnight. The first person to see it was Gerald Thompson, the neighbor next door. He noticed it early in the morning while walking his dog. When the police arrived, they found something that shocked everyone. The investigation revealed a strange 6-foot-tall cube made of bricks. When workers tried to take it down, they found it was solid, except for a small hollow opening at the top. But what they found inside the Clarks' house was even worse. In the bedroom of 15-year-old Anna Clark, they found a scary note that said, "The angles are wrong, but Daddy says we'll fit." After reading the note, the detectives became suspicious and started looking through the father's things. That's when they found a chilling drawing, a sketch made by Richard Clark. I thought my college roommate was just shy until she started watching me sleep. I was 19 when I moved into my first college dorm at Westbrook University. My roommate was a girl named Natalie. She was 20, a junior who had transferred in. She was quiet, a little off, but friendly enough. A few months in, I started dating a guy named Ryan, and that's when things got weird. Natalie became distant and cold. She would glare at me whenever I mentioned him. Then, Ryan started getting texts from an unknown number. Stuff like, "She doesn't belong to you," and "You're not safe." We thought it was a joke, until it wasn't. His car was scratched up. His dorm got broken into. Nothing stolen, just photos of me ripped in half. One night, he got a message that said, "Last warning." Campus security helped trace the messages back to a texting app. Turns out, Natalie had been using it. They made her move out. She didn't fight it. She just smiled and said, "I'll miss watching you sleep." That night, I found one last note under my pillow. It said, "He's gone. It's just us now." Ryan blocked me the next day. I haven't seen or heard from him since. Sometimes I wonder if she did something worse than we thought. Guys, guess the character in this story. Hint, she is a famous actress. If you saw this woman, your children are not safe. She is Hachishaku-sama, or 8 feet tall. She is a huge woman, about 8 feet tall, and she hunts children. When she walks, she makes a strange po-po-po sound. One summer, a boy named Kenji went to visit his grandparents in the countryside. While playing outside, he heard the weird po-po-po sound. He turned around and saw a tall woman in a white dress with long black hair and a creepy smile standing near a tree. That night, Kenji told his grandparents about the woman. They became scared. His grandfather locked all the doors, and his grandmother called a monk. The monk came and put charms around Kenji's room. "Don't open the door no matter what you hear," he warned. At midnight, Kenji heard knocking and his mother's voice saying, "Let me in." Kenji wanted to open the door but didn't. In the morning, the monk checked the charms. They had turned black, showing she tried to get in. Kenji left the village quickly and never saw her again. In Philippines, there is a true scary story about a haunted place called the Ozone Disco Club. It used to be a fun place, but in March 18th, 1996, a terrible fire broke out. The place was packed with young people, many of them celebrating their future. The emergency exits were locked, and people couldn't get out. In just minutes, thick smoke filled the room, and flames spread fast. Over 160 people died, most of them students. It became one of the deadliest nightclub fires in the world. After the tragedy, the building was abandoned, but people nearby started saying they could still hear screams, loud music, and even people crying inside the empty structure at night. Some taxi drivers said they picked up passengers near the ruins, only to find their back seats empty moments later. Others say they saw shadows dancing behind the broken windows. Even today, people believe the souls of those who died are still trapped inside. This story is from Philippine. Comment a story idea from your country. I moved to Millersville, Pennsylvania for work and noticed an old house at the edge of town. When I asked about it, everyone said the same thing. There's no house there. One night, I went to see for myself. The lights were on. A man opened the door with a creepy smile and said, "Welcome back." I told him I'd never been there. He just smiled and said, "Sit down, I'll make you dinner," then walked into the kitchen. While he was gone, I opened a door to another room. There were dead bodies, lined up on the floor. I turned to run, but when I looked back, he was standing outside now, holding a knife. He smiled even wider and said, "You're lucky." I ran and never looked back. The next day, the house was gone. Just trees and grass. This story is from England. Tell me your country, and I will make story from your country.